Dr. Sridhar, are you there? Am I audible?
Hello. Yeah, Dr. Amia. Yeah, you're audible. Definitely. Yes.
How are you? Fine.
Yeah, fine.
So we can start in a while.
Yes, sure.
And thank you very much for accepting, preponing your talk. Actually,
It's my pleasure. No problem.
okay, thank you. Sangeeta, are you there?
One for you also.
सर अभी डिस्कनेक्ट है, थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा।
ओहो हो, ओके ओके, करो फिर करो। So seeing you after a very long time.
Yeah, me too.
Mhm.
It's been a very long time.
Okay. And what about works over there?
Yeah, it's fine, Amia. It's going on fine.
We have met in 2008, I think. During that,
I think I do remember.
so there is a big gap. So there is a technical issue. So that's why there is a delay. Some participant we have kept in a single room, students, so that it learning will be somewhat better.
Okay.
Sir, please accept the faculty pharmacy host.
I'm experiencing light problem. I'll just leave and again join.
Sorry for the inconvenience. Now we will start. Good afternoon.
One second, Sangeeta, one second. Let the
Yes,
speaker to join. Let the speaker to join.
Yeah, I'm connected
Oh,
now.
okay.
Am I audible? Am I
Right.
audible? Yeah.
Audible. Video is not there.
You can see the screen?
Now it's fine. Now it's fine. Okay.
Yes.
Sangeeta, please carry on.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, esteemed speakers, distinguished guests, faculty members, researchers, and enthusiastic participants from across the nation. On behalf of the Faculty of Pharmacy, C.V. Raman Global University, Bhubaneswar, I extend a warm and heartfelt welcome each one of you as we commence day 2 of our national webinar, Digital Frontiers in Pharmaceuticals Research and Innovation. we regret to inform you that Dr. Asutosh Parekh will not be able to present his scheduled talk on the second day of our national webinar due to ill health, and he is under medical care. We wish him a recovery and hope to welcome him back in future academic engagements. Yesterday's spotlight on Informatics, a fascinating convergence of Ayurveda and informatics, opened up new dimensions in traditional medicinal research. We explored how computational tool can be harnessed to decode ancient vision, validate therapeutic claims, and integrate Ayurvedic principles into modern drug discovery. Today, we continue this intellectual journey, shifting our focus to broader digital innovation that are revolutionizing pharmaceutical sciences. It is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce our next speaker, Dr. D. Sridhar, Professor and Head of the Department of Pharmaceutical Regulatory Affairs and Management at Manipal College of Pharmaceutical Sciences. With a long and distinct career at the institution since 2003, Dr. Sridhar has held various academic and administrative roles. He currently serves as the Chief Coordinator for the Training and Placement Assistance Center and is the Secretary of India Pharmaceutical Association, Manipal branch. He has the expertise in the field of regulations of fixed dose combinations along with management of pharmaceutical marketing and regulations. He is actively involved in many professional organizations including the International Pharmaceutical Federation and the Drug Information Association. Today, he will be speaking on a topic that is both timely and transformative, reviving old drug for new hope, the future of repurposing in modern medicine. In an era where the cost and time of new drug development are soaring, the drug repurposing offers a strategic and efficient pathway to uncover new therapeutic uses for existing molecules. Please join me in welcoming Dr. D. Sridhar to share his expertise and visit on these exciting frontiers. Welcome, sir. Now the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sangeeta, for that introduction. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Ameya for inviting me for this wonderful program. And I also thank C.V. Raman institution at large and the management for giving me this opportunity to deliver the lecture. Let me first share the PPT. Are you able to see the PPT?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
visible.
Yeah, okay.
Just full screen, made it full screen.
Is it now okay?
Yes, okay. Fine.
You're able to see the screen? Can you respond if you're able to see the screen?
Yeah, it's visible. You can carry on.
Yeah, okay. You're able to see the first slide?
No, only the front side, first page.
You're able to see the first slide, the title slide?
Title slide is visible.
Okay. Yeah, first of all, very good afternoon to everyone. And as I've told, thanks to the Dr. Ameya for inviting me over here. And
Thank you.
so I'll be talking about the very probably the recent topic that I've chosen. All like the title, you can see "Reviving Old Drugs for New Hope." That is what is the title I've chosen. Why I've chosen this is like because this concept offers not only very cost-effective and speed, but also immense promise in addressing unmet medical needs. See, if you look at the pharma companies, they're all looking at this very aspect of repurposing of the old drugs. So over the next few minutes, I don't know how much time I would be having. We'll explore how this approach of reviving old drugs for a new hope is shaping the future of the healthcare. So this is the outline of the thing which I would be delivering the lecture. So first, let us start with the introduction. We'll start with the definition and also the advantages and a few examples. So if you look at drug repurposing, otherwise called as drug repositioning or redirecting, which basically refers to the strategy of identifying new therapeutic uses for costly and time-intensive, so that like these repurposed drugs can leverage existing molecules. If you look at the advantages or the benefits, includes the safety profile. First of all, it would touch the safety profile because these drugs are already approved for certain indications. And then it offers reduced development time because they need not start all over again from the preclinical trials, but straight away they can start with the phase 2 clinical trials, where they would be looking basically to convince the regulators about its new indication. And also, by the way, it will also lower the overall risk, like because they are considered to be as safe and they are available in the market. Now, if you look at some of the examples like thalidomide, which is known for its infamous things which have happened in the past, but now if you look at like it is effectively used in multiple myeloma, and as well as other example of sildenafil, which brand name is Viagra, which originally meant for angina but widely used now for erectile dysfunction. Everyone know about it, and also the pulmonary hypertension. So these are a few examples that I can take, and I will take a little more examples when I'm going through the slides. So basically, the definition of the drug repurposing is nothing but repositioning or redirecting, which basically have a tinge of marketing terminology, but that is how it is referred to as. Then coming to why drug purposing? Why it is essential for drug purposing? Now, as I've mentioned, many companies are finding it very difficult to come out with a new molecular entities. It's becoming very difficult for the companies with the success rates declining and cost ballooning. So, drug repurposing offers a compelling alternative to the companies who are looking forward uh, 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 for launching the new products into the market and all that. So, it provides faster patient access to treatment, like, and particularly in some of the scenarios that we have experienced, like pandemic. It offers a very quick solution, like if you find something new indication about the older drugs. So another very important thing that the repurposing is dealt by many companies for the rare diseases and the conditions with very small patient population. So in this, repurposing can be a lifeline to many of the rare diseases, enabling the tailored therapies that might not be commercially viable through the research and development and all. Like many of the companies would not look at these rare diseases in the first place. So that is where the repurposing definitely matters. Now, coming to the methods, let us look at like what are all the methods which are there, which provide the repurposing. So as we have discussed, there are several paths to repurpose a drug. Okay, the companies have different pathways how they can look forward to developing these older drugs with a new indication and so on and all that. So one of it is on target repurposing, which retains the original mechanism of action but applies to a new indication altogether, new condition altogether. Then we have off-target repurposing, which uses actually drugs secondary effects for new diseases, and also like you have another methods like side effects from clinical trials, like or probably using artificial intelligence to uncover patterns in massive data sets and so on and all. Like so, you have a huge examples. One of the example is itraconazole, like an antifungal, which has been explored for anti-cancer properties due to its impact on angiogenesis. So let us look at the examples of each of it. On target repurposing, as I've told, this occurs when the drug acts on the same mechanism of action, and is used for a different condition. Okay, it acts in the same way as that of the previous indication, but used for a different indication altogether. Now, if I have to take the example, it would be the aspirin, which is originally developed as a pain reliever. Everyone knows about it. We have all used for painkiller and as well as anti-inflammatory. But it was later felt or repurposed for its antiplatelet effect to prevent the cardiovascular events like heart attack and as well as stroke. So the mechanism of action is same, absolutely same. Like but the indication which was targeted is different. Like one is for the painkiller and the other is for antiplatelet effect. Fingolimod is another drug initially which was developed for transplant rejections. So it was immunosuppressant first of all, but later it was repurposed for multiple sclerosis because of its effect on immunomodulation and all. Like so, that's how this drug was developed for. Then we have second category, that is off-target repurposing. Now, if you look at in this, the drug is found to act through a different mechanism of action. So the drug would act in a different pathway altogether than the original intended one, with a different indication altogether. One of it is the thalidomide. One of the best example for this is like initially developed as a sedative and as well as anti-nausea drug in pregnancy, and it was withdrawn for teratogenic effects that we have seen and all that. But decades later, it was very successfully repurposed for multiple myeloma and leprosy through a completely different pathway and all that. So how it was actually affecting the anti-nausea is different from how it is being used now for myeloma and as well as leprosy. So there is a kind of modification which is being done to act as against the multiple myeloma and as well as leprosy through a completely different pathway altogether. Then we have the side effect, serendipity-based repurposing. So repurposing that happens because of unexpected side effects that you have seen during the clinical trials. One of the best examples is sildenafil citrate, Viagra, the brand name. As you know, originally it developed for angina. Like actually, it was developed for angina. It was developing a stage for angina, but during the trials, patients reported improved erectile function and so on and all. Like then they have looked at like this indication to be more fruitful than the previous indication. So it led to approval of the erectile dysfunction, and later, like it was also used for pulmonary arterial hypertension. Now, this is one of the very best example for the side effect being repurposed, and also minoxidil. You might have seen like developed as an antihypertensive that is vasodilator, but repurposed for the hair regrowth because they unexpectedly saw hair growth as a side effect, one of the side effect and all that. So that has been explored to a larger extent. Then we have data-driven or computational repurposing using artificial intelligence and as well as big data. So using large data sets like genomics, we have electronic health records, we have artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms. we have to predict new drug diseases matches. So if you look at the examples, one of the best example I can take is itraconazole, which is actually an antifungal drug identified via bioinformatics screening for its anti-angiogenesis activity. Antifungal via bioinformatics screening, they have seen that it has a potential as anti-angiogenesis activity. So now it has been treated for it is used in the treatment of cancer. Remdesivir, you all know, originally developed for Ebola virus disease. Then they have checked through the computational modeling, and then in vitro testing led to its rapid repurposing for COVID-19 and during the pandemic. So those are the methods of, in fact, the repurposing that we have seen. Then let us move on to the regulatory framework overview. Now, we have understood the definition, we have understood the advantages, we have seen the examples, we have also seen why drug repurposing is essential, and we have also seen a kind of methods of repurposing now. So let us look at the regulatory perspective, like how the regulators would look at, say suppose companies are definitely interested in repurposing, but what is the say of regulators? So repurposing a drug may sound very straightforward for the company, but in reality, it involves navigating a very complex set of regulatory systems. The regulatory authorities are not going to really look at okay, it's been already approved, so let us approve this also and all. Like no, they have a different perspective altogether. So even though a repurposed drug has the advantage of prior safety, which has been checked by these regulators, and also the pharmacological data is very much with them and all, still the regulators require new clinical evidence to demonstrate that it is both safe and effective in its new condition. So that's why I was saying like they also require the clinical trials, but not maybe from the phase 1, but probably they can start from the phase 2. So each region, if you look at it all, like its own rules, regulations, and as well as the pathways. So if you look at the US, the United States Food and Drug Administration, there is a different pathway. Like it allows the repurposed drugs are allowed through accelerated approval mechanisms such as fast track, breakthrough therapy designations, and all. Like say, suppose like if the older drug is being looked at for a new indication, which is in fact is a very rare condition that it can be used. Like as we have seen with itraconazole, where it can be used for anti-cancer, whereas it was used for antifungal and so on and all. Like so in that case, definitely they would look at breakthrough therapy designation and so on and all, like, and even priority review. So these were especially useful during the COVID-19 pandemic, where the drugs like remdesivir, as I've told and all, like were granted emergency use authorization on limited but compelling evidences that has to be provided to the US Food and Drug Administration. If you look at the European Medicines Agency also offers a different pathway, like well-established use route for the drugs with a long history of safe use. Like I mean, if it has been there in the market for over 5 years or 10 years, then they would relax a few things like that. They can look at these indications and all, like, and they go as hybrid applications for drugs with modifications like new dosage forms or strengths, because the drug is proven to be safe and all, like they can change the new dosage form or the strength. So it is repurposing is as good as like looking at something like new dosage form or the strength for the regulators in Europe. In Japan, the Pharmaceutical Medical Devices Agency not only requires standard approval pathways, but also provides an orphan drug designation. If at all that repurposed drug is used for the rare disease, then it can definitely go with the orphan drug designation knowledge, which can speed up repurposing approvals in Japan. So when it comes to India, the Central Drug Standard Control Organization also uses a different pathway altogether, which they call it as subsequent new drug application pathway. This allows companies to apply for approval of an already approved drug, but for a new indication or a new dosage form or a strength. So if you look at, for instance, a drug initially approved for the hypertension might later be approved for kidney disease under this pathway of subsequent new drug application. So here, the key message is clear. While drug repurposing can shorten development timelines, success largely depends on understanding and strategically navigating these regulatory frameworks. Now, the regulators are very, very particular about like the safety aspect of the drug. Okay, so if the company don't align their studies with the regional guidelines, then you might end up denial from the regulators. So you cannot just go one thing work with a regulator would also work with other regulator and all that. So you need to be region specific. Like what is US FDA asking for is different from what is EMA is asking for, and it is different from what PMDA is asking for. So the companies should be very, very careful while submitting the studies to these respective regulators to get the approval for the repurposed drugs. Now, this is why close collaboration with the regulators is critical to make repurposed drugs available to patients more quickly. So you need to collaborate with the regulators, have discussion with them, and see what is wanted by the regulators, what is that you need to prove as far as your repurposed drug is concerned. This is a beautiful table which actually explains about it's a kind of a snapshot comparing the major regulatory agencies. Now in the US, if you look at and all, like there is something called 505(b)(2) pathway, which is a very common route for repurposed drugs. So it allows companies to use existing safety data, which is already there in the public domain or with the regulators. Okay. Then if you look at European Medicines Agency, it offers multiple options, including a well-established use pathway of drugs with more than 10 years of proven safety, as I've told and all. Then they can provide you certain relaxations. As far as the Japan is concerned, the Pharmaceutical Medical Device Agency supports repurposing with orphan drug designations and as well as the incentives specifically for the rare disease. Like say, suppose if this repurposed drug is intended for the rare disease, then definitely they would provide the incentives as well. As far as the CDSO is concerned, as I've told, like it would go with a subsequent new drug application route, which applies to the drugs already approved by the CDSO, but seeking for a new indication, or it might be a new dosage form or a formulation, or a different strength altogether. So if you look at each system has unique strengths, but if you look at the goal is common. The goal is to ensure the safety while enabling the faster access for the patients. So regulators are very concerned about the safety. They're not concerned about like how it can be used for a different indication, but what about the safety when they are using for this indication is of utmost importance to the regulators. Okay, now that we have looked at the several aspects of the repurposing of the drugs, including the regulatory perspectives and the various pathways of approval of it, let us move on to the challenges of coming out with these repurposed drugs. Now, as I've told, the drug companies are finding it very difficult with respect to the new molecular entities. They are not able to come out with the new molecular entities by robust research and development. But if you look at the drug repurposing holds enormous promise. It faces several significant hurdles. While the drug repurposing holds enormous promises for the companies, same way it also faces several significant hurdles. First and foremost is scientific limitations. Many drugs have complex mechanism of action, okay, that are not fully understood. Now, if you look at an example of blood pressure drug is repurposed for Alzheimer's disease, regulators want to see clear evidence of how the drug interacts with the disease pathway. Okay, you cannot say like we have seen in the clinical trial that it has an effect on Alzheimer's defect. No regulator would be willing to listen like that. So you need to be very clearly demonstrate demonstrating this is the pathway through which it acts on Alzheimer's as well and all that. So without a well understood mechanism, it becomes very difficult to design robust clinical studies and convince the regulators for safety and efficacy. That is the first and foremost challenge. Second challenge is the intellectual property constraints. Of course, we are going to little discuss in detail about the IPR, but patents often protect original indications, but not new users. If you learn the criteria for the patent, one of the criteria is very important is novel. Okay, it is no more novel. Just it's the same product. It's the same product, like old wine in a new bottle, like that. Okay, it's the same product, but you're aiming at a new indication. The claim might be different, but the product is the same. There is no novelty in the product, so it will not be able to attract to have the protection. So it makes it hard for the companies to secure the financial returns on the investment. Say, suppose if you look at the generic antidepressant, might show promising Parkinson's disease, but if the patent has expired, then the companies might hesitate to fund expensive clinical trials since the competitors anyway like come into the market with a new indication without bearing investment to the cost. So the companies would be reluctant. Why we need to spend extra effort to come out with the clinical trials and all, like when the generic company can easily get into the market and take over us, like for this indication that we have come out with. That is another one. Then the third one is lack of financial incentives. Repurposing older of patented drugs can be unattractive to the industry players. The simple reason is the generic manufacturers who usually market these drugs often lack the sources to fund new trials. So they come out in the market within no time. Like you just come with this indication to the market, they will immediately manufacture because you don't have any protection over that. So the large pharmaceutical companies thus prefer investing in novel drugs with a stronger exclusivity protection than these repurposed drugs because of the higher profit margins for these new molecular entities with the protection and all, like where they can price it high and leverage like what they have invested in the research and development. Then the fourth one, social and professional perception. Just look at the drugs like thalidomide. Even though it has entered into the market, many of the clinicians and patients will be very skeptical about the repurposed drug. They see them old drugs being recycled. That's all. Okay, it's an old drug, very known drug and all. They're just putting a new indication and selling and all. Do the doctors and as well as the patients believe? Now that's what exactly happened with the thalidomide when it was reintroduced for multiple myeloma after its tragic history of teratogenicity. There was widespread spread hesitation among the clinicians and as well as the patients. But however, slowly they have understood like, yes, there is a clinical evidence which firmly establishes the benefits of thalidomide, then only they started using. Otherwise, they would not. So altogether, if you look at these challenges, highlight why systematic reforms are necessary for nurturing these repurposed drugs. So we need a very strong regulatory support and also the legal framework that protects the repurposing investments and public awareness campaigns to build confidence. Only then can drug repurposing achieve its full potential in bringing therapeutic uses to the market. Coming to little more detail about the intellectual property protection, as I've told in all that. One of the most critical hurdles, if I have to tell, for the companies to come out with the repurposing is the intellectual property protection. When a drug's original patent expires, it usually becomes a generic. So, meaning any company can manufacture and can produce and sell this medicine. So, at this point of time, if a company wants to repurpose that same drug for a new indication, the financial return is limited or zero, in fact, because competitors can anyway enter into the market with the same molecule for the new use once it has been approved by the company, because its patent has expired. You cannot patent it. So when the company come out with this indication, like immediately there would be n number of generics which would be jumping into the market. So this lack of exclusivity makes companies hesitant to invest millions in the clinical trials for the new indications of the older drugs. So address this, some of the regulators have taken note of it. If you look at, for instance, European Union, they grant 8 years of data protection plus 2 years of market exclusivity with an optional 1-year extension if a new indication is developed during that period. So this kind of an exclusivity is provided by European Union. If you look at United States, the FDA offers 5 years of exclusivity with an additional of 3 years possible for new therapeutic use. Say suppose during this period, okay, if you come out with a new indication, you can additionally ask for 3 years of data protection as far as the drug data is concerned. However, in practice, if you look at these periods are often not long enough, as the investment are very high in case of the clinical trial. So they're not that profitable enough, though they provide 1 year or 2 years or 3 years of extension for exclusivity for the new therapeutic indication. So if you look at an example of the very hypertensive drug, and that is repurposed for Alzheimer's disease. Say suppose even if the clinical trials show the positive results once the drug is approved for Alzheimer's disease, any generic manufacturer could sell it for the new indication, isn't it? So without strong protection, the original company may not recover the research and development costs, the investment which have been made in the research and development, and making the effort financially very unattractive to the company to come out with this new indication. So these legal and economic barriers often result in missed opportunities, my dear participants, as far as the repurposed drugs are concerned. That's why many experts argue that the new incentive structures, such as extended exclusivity period or public-private partnerships or government-funded trials, okay, why don't government fund these trials when they know that it is going to be beneficial for the patients for a new indication? Let the government fund the trials, not the companies and all that. They are ready to market these products, but not invest in the clinical trials because it is going to cost for the company. So these are some of the necessary actions to make the drug repurposing more sustainable and appealing to the industrial players. Now, of course, we have looked at this aspect of generic drug dilemma. Like repurposing generic drugs introduces another challenge. Like now, when the patent is in force, yes, we talk about exclusivity and so on and all that. What about generic drugs? When a company comes to know that, okay, this generic drug can be also used for this indication and all that. Okay. So, but these drugs lack exclusivity and also strong commercial backing is required to come out in the market with these new indications. So as a result, no manufacturer may be willing to fund the studies needed to validate the new uses. They might have excellent therapeutic potential, absolutely no doubt about it. But these opportunities are often lost due to lack of financial motivation by the companies and the regulatory complexity. The regulators are not going to relax. They're not going to relax that, okay, fine, that this is the older drug, like we are going to give approval, you can go into the market and sell for this indication and all that. No, they are not going to relax. So policy level changes are definitely needed to create viable incentives for the companies. Then coming to the future opportunities by the participants. Now, if you look at emerging technologies are changing the entire ballgame, like artificial intelligence, which can now analyze electronic health records within no time, and as well as genomic data to predict which existing drugs might work for new diseases. Within no time, there is a lot of role which AI is playing in today's world, where they are looking at the drugs, not only which are present in the market, but also which were not approved with some of the side effects which are not acceptable. They are looking for those drugs whether there is any kind of a modification that can be done, which would be possible for the companies to relaunch those products which they have worked on. So real world evidence from patient databases, often insights that complement traditional trials, is possible from the use of the real world evidences. So these tools help prioritize the most promising candidates, increasing the efficiency of repurposing pipelines. And also, not only that, the cross-sector collaboration. When the academia, pharma, and regulators come together, we can do wonders. That is what is the another thing that the future opportunities for the repurposed drugs. Now, let us look at the key enablers for success. So to succeed, drug repurposing needs systematic support. The first and foremost is faster regulatory approvals. The regulators should look at in a different way in approving these older drugs for the new indications. They should provide the incentives for off-patent drug developers. Like, say, suppose if they are investing money in clinical trials for proving the safety and efficacy for this indication, they should provide certain patent protection and the legal clarity around the IP rights. So public-private partnership and as well as funding for academic institutions can also accelerate the discoveries as far as the new indication for the older drugs is concerned. And most importantly, these enablers help bring much needed treatments to the patients faster and more affordable, because there is huge amount of money which is saved till phase 1 clinical trials. The preclinical trials are not there, in vitro trials are not there, nothing is there. Just directly prove the safety and efficacy of the drug for the new indication. That's it. So they are going to save a lot of money, and that is directly transferred to patients. Like, I mean, which way the drugs become more affordable. Then coming to the vision for the future. The future of the drug repurposing is promising, definitely, no doubt about it. With raising healthcare demands, definitely the repurposed drugs can fill gaps where no current treatments exist, the unmet needs, and which are still there and all. Like, maybe they can shift through the drugs which are approved and look at whether they can be used for this unmet needs still present in today's world. They're especially valuable in orphan diseases, rare diseases, or some kind of a pandemics that we have experienced with respect to the COVID-19, and also developing markets. Like, yes, developed markets, you have ample amount of drugs, but if you go to the developing countries, there are hardly any drugs which are there and all. Like, there you can look forward to. So by shifting our innovation model, where the companies are working towards coming out with new molecular entities, to one that leverages existing resources like existing drugs, then you can create a healthcare system that is not just efficient but also inclusive and a very responsive one. So that's what I can say as far as the vision for the future for repurposed drugs. Lastly, I would like to conclude saying that drug repurposing is more than just recycling the old molecules. It's not recycling as it has been understood by the regulators. They say, or the clinicians or the patients, these are the older drugs, they have just recycled it. It's not that. It's a visionary strategy that the companies are looking at, like where we can find a new indication altogether. Just look at some of the breakthrough indications, like you can take sildenafil, you can take minoxidil, you can take aspirin for that matter, and even the antifungal that we have discussed and all, like remdesivir, which has been extensively used for COVID-19 and so on and all that. So by combining science, regulation, and policy, we can definitely turn untapped potential into powerful therapies with these repurposed drugs. So with collaboration and innovation, drug repurposing definitely shape the future of medicine, as I've put it in title and all, like making healthcare more agile, affordable, and effective. So that is what I can say. So with this, I would like to conclude my lecture on the repurposing the drugs. So if you have any questions, you're most welcome to ask.
Yes, sir. There are some questions from our participants. One of them is, how can drug repurposing contribute to precision medicine?
It's a very good question. Precision medicine is different, and repurposed drugs are different. Precision medicine talks about like how you can tailor make for a set of population or an individual. Say, suppose like if you're talking about the personalized medicine or a precision medicine, it is looking at a set of population. But when you talk about the repurposed drug, it is not looking at a specific population, but it is looking at large on the indication that they are targeting. So that is what I can say. So there is a large difference between the indication that you are looking at with respect to the repurposed drugs to that of precision medicine. I hope I've answered the question.
Thank you, sir. Another one is, how repurposing becoming a primary strategy in pharma research and development?
That's a very good question, which I've already told during the lecture. Many of the pharma companies are finding it very difficult to start from the scratch. Now, it takes time, effort, money. Okay. So much of money goes into it and all that. And at the end of it, they're not very sure that the molecule which they're working on or like going through the clinical trials would be of a success. So it would be very difficult for the pharma companies to assess that. Instead, when you look at like already approved drugs, there is nothing wrong, like because like their safety is proven and all, like all that they need to convince the regulators is about the pathways that these new indications are targeted. That's it, nothing else. So definitely it is going to be incentive for both the companies, the regulators, and as well as the patients. Why I'll tell. For the companies, less money. For the regulators, less headache because their safety is already proven. All that they need to look at very closely is the pathway that or the mechanism of action of this drug for a new indication. For the patients, they have got a drug for altogether a new indication that was unmet before. So it is a win-win situation for all three of them: companies, regulators, and as well as patients. I hope I've answered.
Thank you, sir. Another one is, what role do clinical trial data and pharmacovigilance database play in repurposing?
Very good. Now, if you look at like, as I've already told, for the repurposed drug, the regulators would be looking at the phase 2 clinical trials onwards. Okay. And now, if you look at phase 1 is more towards the safety of the drug. So once the safety of the drug is already proven, from the phase 2 onwards, they would be looking at closely the safety for this new indication and as well as the efficacy part. So they would be saving large amount of money as far as the clinical trials is concerned. So that is what is one of the major advantage that the repurposed drugs has.
Thank you, sir. Another one is, how do intellectual property patient affect drug repurposing?
I've addressed this like in one of the slide where I've told like the patent protection is not possible for the repurposed drugs. Patent protection is not possible for the repurposed drug because their patent have expired. Okay, all that. That's why I said like that is one of the major challenge for the companies who are investing in the clinical trials from the second phase onwards. Okay, why do the companies would invest for the clinical trials for a new indication where there is no protection on the product? What is that financial incentive that they would have coming out with this new indication into the market? There is absolutely nothing. So that's why the companies are reluctant to come and invest for these new indications and all that. So that's why the regulators or the government, which is taking care of the protection of the intellectual property, has to come forward and provide some kind of an exclusivity to these drugs, older drugs. Then only the companies would come forward and probably invest and come out with the new indications for the older drugs.
Thank you, sir. Last one is how can we use AI/ML for drug repurposing at a institution level? I mean, is there any software we can use so?
Yes, there is a software like, but it is quite expensive, like very expensive. Schrodinger is one of the software which actually can screen the drugs for their indications. Like, say, suppose you're looking at these old drugs and for a new indications, it will tell definitely like whether it can be targeted for these indications as well and all. Like, but it's going to be very costly affair. But there is definitely such provisions like where you can find out. But the institution level, I doubt. We have the Schrodinger software over here, but uh, I doubt many of the institutions can afford Schrodinger software like which is used for such purposes. Sangeet.
Thank you, sir. Last one is arise how drug can bring revolution in anti-cancer drug development.
We are fortunate enough, like when you look at these drugs, the older drugs, especially the itraconazole or probably even even some of the drugs like I forgot the name, but they are looked at for the anti-cancer treatment. So they are used for anti-angiogenesis. So there is a promising, definitely there is a promising way to look at these older drugs which can provide some sort of relief as far as the cancer treatment is concerned. That's what many companies are looking at because the cancer is a big market, and definitely the companies would be interested to look at that, provided there is a protection. That's what is the hitch. If you have a protection for this new indication, especially in terms of the cancer, then it is going to be a very, very viable aspect for the companies to work on.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your innovative thoughts shared with us. As we conclude this enlightening session, I would now like to take a moment to express our heartfelt gratitude to Dr. T. Sridhar for sharing his valuable insight on reviving old drug for new hope, the future of drug repurposing in modern medicine. His talk has truly broadened our understanding and inspired new perspective in this field. To honor contribution and presence today, may I kindly invite our esteemed Dean, Dr. Amya Kumar Prusti, to come forward and present a token of appreciation to Dr. Sridhar. Sir, may I request you to do this honor?
Okay. So thank you, Dr. Sridhar, for giving such an insightful talk.
Thank
So,
you, Dr. Amia.
so
I
I
hope it
think
was useful for the participants.
definitely our participant will gain a lot of knowledge from this. And I think it will not only decrease the money, but also the time of
Yes.
discovering new technologies. So it is having a lot of potential. So from Faculty of Pharmacy, accept this token of
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
appreciation
Thank you
on,
so much, Dr.
on
Amia.
board. So I will send it to both to you.
Thank you so much.
And
Thank you so much.
this is also the certificate. Please accept this also.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So much.
I am very much thankful that you have accepted and preponed your schedule due to the our second speaker.
Pleasure. My pleasure, Amia.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sangeeta, over to you.
As we draw this session to a close, I'd like to extend my sincere thanks to each one of you for being a part of today's insightful discussion. A special note to appreciation to Dr. D. Sridhar for his thought-provoking talk on reviving old drug for new hope, the future of drug repurposing in modern medicine. His expertise and vision have truly enriched our understanding of how innovation can emerge here, offering new hope through old remedies. We are also grateful to our Dean, Dr. Ramya Kumar Prusti, for gracing the occasion and presenting the memento, and to all the organizers and volunteers who made this event seamless and impactful. Let this session be a reminder that the medicine lies not only in discovery but in rediscovery with purpose, precision, and passion. Thank you once again, and we look forward to welcoming you tomorrow for future session. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Amay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Recording stop.